my name is Jo, and I'm the founder and CEO of Navistar Legal. And today I'm here with Colin Levy. Hi, Colin, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very well. Colin is an experienced general counsel, and he is a thought leader in the tech world, or legal tech world. And we are talking today about all things law, tech, passion projects, basically a whole range of legal-based things that are interesting to me, quite frankly, Colin. Hopefully they're of interest to you, but I'm going to just start with, tell me a little bit about you, your background, and your progression through law. Tell me about you.
Absolutely. So I have had a very, I would say, non-linear career. It certainly was not what I had planned out for myself, being someone who likes to have a plan. I guess that helps explain why I became a lawyer. So, when I graduated from law school, I graduated into a pretty bad legal market. There weren't a lot of jobs. So I had to spend the first 2 years of my legal career, if you could call it that at that point, trying to find work where I could to build up a lot of the skills around what I eventually wanted to be doing, which was corporate transactions. So I spent a lot of time doing some document review work, doing some compliance work, doing some contract management work. And I did some work for a legal startup to just kind of build up upon those skills that I really wanted to make use of. And then eventually got my first in-house legal job. That was the other impediment really to my career, I think, was that I never wanted to work for a firm. I always wanted to work in-house straight out of the bat.
Right, that's quite unusual to know that as well, to really have that. What was it? Why did you just want to go straight in-house?
Well, for me, I always viewed myself as someone with a foot in both the business world and the legal world. And so I really wanted to be deeply connected with the business that I was working with and that I was representing as a lawyer. And I didn't really think I was going to get that from working for a firm. I also wasn't a huge fan of the long hours, the billable hour quotas you had to meet, and the kind of the sort of standoffish nature of law firm work as I saw it back when I first was thinking about my career.
You kind of made an educated lifestyle choice quite early on in your career, like coming out of the gate, you're like, yeah, that's not for me. I mean, for me,
I was always about just making sure I was taking care of me and finding some degree of balance in my life. I mean, I really do like to work, but I also didn't want to work at a place where I just wasn't going to be happy and I wasn't creating the type of work I wanted to be creating. So that was kind of what led me to looking for in-house roles, which I eventually landed and then built upon over the course of my career now.
Great. So in-house lawyer, I want to because it's kind of the sexy stuff, like go straight to legal tech. I'm like, tell me about your thought leadership, but actually there's another story here. So we'll come to that in a minute. I want to find out about what you love to do. Now you're experienced, you know what you're doing. How did you kind of carve your career into, I know what I want to do and this is what I'm loving to do? How have you managed to become that kind of thought leader in the legal profession?
So, it really kind of just happened as a result of just writing and writing a lot about my thoughts about working in-house. I started this blog that has now really taken off as a means of writing about kind of what I thought about when I was in-house, what it meant in my view to be an in-house lawyer, and kind of some of the actions and thoughts I had with regards to working with sales and other functions. And so, I started writing about that, started exchanging ideas with other folks, and became more and more connected with other people, and then started interviewing folks because I started to learn about kind of this legal tech stuff, and thought that it was really interesting and fascinating. And I thought the best way for me to learn about it would be to actually talk to people who were actually doing it and have been doing it for some time. So that started me on the path of interviewing a lot of folks about their work. And that in turn has helped inform my views and helped kind of build up my knowledge around legal technology and legal innovation. And it's really been quite amazing in terms of the connections I've been able to make, the community I've been able to build and still building, and all that I've learned and continue to learn about the space. Because I really see myself as a lawyer as someone who's decided to embark on a active mission of learning for the rest of my life, and always trying to bring as much value as I can to the roles that I have. And the only way you do that is through immersing yourself in the stuff you want to learn about and the stuff that you want to be doing. And that's kind of the approach I've taken over the years.
And has that, seems like an obvious question, yes or no, but how are you finding your education and learning of these legal tech and the legal profession in general? Because it's not just the tech you're looking at, is it? It's the role and the philosophies. Are you finding that is making you a better general counsel? How is that impacting your day-to-day?
So, yeah, I think that me learning about and having some degree of knowledge and expertise around legal technology and about innovation, I think helps me bring value to the roles that I've had and hope to find going forward. In terms of being able to really think about how to do my job better and produce better results and better work product for the folks that I work with, and also, frankly, at lower cost too, because that's the other kind of piece of all of this is technology can help you lower your costs and help you spend your time more efficiently by allowing you to focus on more strategic work and less on time-consuming, lower risk work that needs to get done, but frankly is not perhaps the best use of your time.
What are you learning in your research and in your self-education that you can impart to others, like a quick summary?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest lesson that I can impart when it comes to, well, I'll start with innovation, is that innovation does not need to be this huge, big sort of watershed moment. It really can best be thought of as a series of incremental steps. You innovate in one small area, build upon that success, hopefully, and continue to build so that you have a foundation, and then you show the results, and then you're able to innovate other parts of your practice. So I really think the key lesson is to start small, and that allows you perhaps a greater degree of freedom to experiment, which is also an important part of innovation, because sometimes you don't always know the end result, but you want to have some degree of control over the impact of what you will be changing or thinking about revamping. And then on the legal tech front, I would say that a big lesson is that there's legal tech, is a lot of different things, but at its heart is essentially a set of tools to help you do your job better. And even in a more broader sense, it's about kind of changing a culture that for a long time has been resistant to changing the way they've done things, to doing things that are more client-centric and doing things that are more attuned to the dynamics of the world that we operate in.
I agree. I mean, it's taking the phrase that I always hear is like, this is the way we've always done things, and going, well, but why? But why do we do that? And it feels like now's the time where people are actually asking those questions, but it's been slow. The tide has been slow in the legal profession. And I know, there's a lot of commentary saying that, legal tech is just tech. It's just in the legal industry. Legal tech is just regular, it's like Outlook and everything else. There's lots of tech out there. It just happens to be applied to the law. To the law. Are you right? I've got a question for you, and this is a little bit out of the blue, so I appreciate if you need to think about it. If you were starting a GC role with a blank slate of paper, like a blank slate, new piece of paper is in front of you, what would be the 3 must-haves in that department? Either legal tech or basic principles, anything that you like, what would you have to have in that new team?
Yeah, I think first and foremost would be a culture that's supportive of innovation, that's supportive of some degree of experimentation, and most importantly of learning.
What would that look like? What would the innovation? What does that culture of innovation? How do we get that? Because that's the hardest thing, isn't it? You're bringing people who aren't used to that necessarily in. Would you do what they do at Google and find them really young?
Well, I think it would be a result, it would be a function of education and of helping to inform and educate over time, because you can't achieve cultural change overnight. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So I would spend that time to at least start folks on that learning process about kind of demystifying innovation, but also educating about, you know, how lawyers can do work better and more effectively with even the tools that we all use frequently, like Microsoft Office and other tools. So that would be one thing. Another must-have, I would say, would be, you know, I would evaluate and look at the processes that are in place, talk to the folks who have been using these processes, get a sense from them as to what their pain points are, and perhaps what their thoughts are and why those pain points exist, and then think about how we can improve those processes to reduce the friction and reduce the pain points, to make them more effective and more reflexive in the sense that more able to be adapted due to a change in market or economic conditions. So that'd be another thing.
Great.
And then the third probably would be, you know, a legal function that is devoted to being a business partner for other functions. In other words, that is making decisions based not solely on the legal ramifications, but on more holistic legal and business ramifications of doing things one way versus another. Because I think that's really something that's very important, particularly when you're working in-house, to have an idea that any decision you make has an impact far beyond just kind of your little legal realm. And you really have to think about things in that way and become a resource and become a partner for other functions and work hand in hand with them on what they're trying to do, as opposed to waiting for them to come to you with a question. So I guess what I'm getting at with that is being proactive and thinking forward rather than thinking backward.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, because you never start with a totally blank slate, do you? But it's a seductive question to think, well, what would you do? Well, if I had a blank slate, then it would be very easy. But yeah, the thinking forward and thinking about how you want it to look. I remember somebody saying that they had kind of designed it as if they could start everything from scratch. And I think you probably bring in some of the old stuff, don't you? Because it's not that the old stuff doesn't work. It's just, where are the pain points? Where are the friction points with the people that are currently using them? What isn't working? And like you say, it's going into the business to work out where these don't work, rather than us as a legal department saying, well, this isn't working because this hasn't got this, this, and this. It's like, no. Those aren't the pain points. The pain, unless it's causing you to end up in, you know, court every month, those aren't pain points.
Right. I think it's really important to take the time to, I mean, everyone brings to whatever role they take on their prior experiences and prior lessons learned. And that's all great. Your experience is what they want from you. They want you to bring that experience and bring it to bear. But in addition, I think it's incredibly important to build relationships with the people that you're going to be working with. And you build those by understanding how they work, what their problems are, and how you can help fix their problems, regardless of whether they're actually legal problems, business problems, what have you. The goal for you is to really develop those relationships so that they then can trust you and rely upon you to help them when they need it.
What are you finding is shifting? Because we're probably week 9 of the lockdown at the time of recording. What have you noticed has shifted in the environment, so in the legal environment, over the last 9 weeks? So whether it be your work environment or with people online, what are you noticing in terms of changes or any patterns that you're seeing?
Well, one thing I've seen for a long time, and I think it's slowly dying down a little bit, has been this seeming revelation that yes, you can do work remotely and not have to be in the office to do work, um, which you know has always struck me as a bit odd, but not surprising because the legal industry is a bit monolithic and highly resistant to um, changing things based on a large number of factors. I would say another thing I've noticed is um, incessant webinars on uh, the pandemic, adjusting on certain contractual clauses like force majeure, which is all well and good, but I do think that it can be a little bit overwhelming. And also, frankly, I think a lot of lawyers have a lot on their plates, perhaps more than before the pandemic began.
Yeah.
And it's important to kind of respect that and understand that their time is very limited. And, oftentimes it's more helpful to get kind of a brief summary email or document as opposed to an hour-long webinar and something. So that'd be one thing. And then I would say the last thing I've noticed is, and this I think is a good thing, but slight increase in the focus on taking care of ourselves and on caring for one another. And I think that,
Right.
above all else, is most important right now, and deserving of as much attention as it can be given, because if nothing else, our health, our well-being is by far the most important thing that we should be paying attention to.
I was going to say mentally. I mean, mental health wise, physically, in fact, any habits that are really working for you, or philosophies or beliefs that are working for you personally during this time.
So I think for me, one thing that has worked and is working is the fact that I'm generally, have dealt with anxiety from time to time over the course of my life. And I think that this time has shown me that I can be resilient and can be mindful, because I've been through other challenging periods of my life. Some arguably perhaps on par with this, if not a little bit more, for a variety of different reasons. And I think that it's important for all of us, and certainly something that's been important for me and has helped me has been just paying attention to myself and understanding my feelings. And if I feel like I'm off on a certain day, recognize that. Don't ignore it, but recognize it and just deal with it, because we're all humans. We all have different feelings, different days, and we may be the toughest person in the world, but we all experience emotions and all have feelings and have worries, and it's important to not ignore them, but acknowledge them. And so that's something that I've done.
Sorry to interrupt, but that's how you got into your kind of passion project of writing, wasn't it? Because you were like, I just need to get this stuff out. I remember you sharing that kind of just the cathartic ability to be able to get things out and share what was really going on. How did that affect you? Because did that affect your, I say brand, your personal brand? Did it affect how people saw you in a positive or a negative way?
Yeah, so, well, first I'll say that writing for me has always been something that I've really enjoyed and loved to do. And I found it's a way for me to relax and a way for me to kind of acknowledge the feelings and thoughts that I have in my head. In terms of, I think, my personal brand, I would say that I think the writing that I've done has allowed me to be transparent to others and help show others that it's okay to talk about some of these things and acknowledge them. And I think it's lent a degree of authenticity to myself, because, I'll be the first one to tell you anything that I say, write, tweet, what have you, is exactly the same thing you will hear from me if you were face-to-face meeting with me. So, I don't really hide anything. I am who I am. And I think that, or I found generally that a lot of folks, I think, appreciate that, and I'm thankful for their appreciation.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing a lot more of it and not just in this industry, but in the world generally. I'm not even just talking about the legal profession. I'm seeing a lot more people sharing about struggles they're having or issues that are going on, which aren't just paying lip service to an issue, but genuinely saying, did you have an issue? Did you think, should I really share this? Because, you know, I have, when I've thought about things I'm going to share, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't share that. I can't see that people are going to, yeah, they might get benefit from it, but that's really going to make me look something. Did you have those conversations with yourself at some point?
So I did. I absolutely did. There definitely were some things I've written that I have not posted because they're just things I just wanted to write and just didn't want to, you know, were a bit too personal or just didn't want to share. But by and large, yeah, I have had those conversations, but the way I view it is, you know, I'm sharing a lot of feelings that I think are far more common than a lot of us think with regards to what we all struggle with. So in that sense, I'm only saying things that other people are likely feeling. So that gives me a sense of comfort. But I certainly do have conversations with myself about whether I want to be truly sharing everything that I write. And I admittedly, I don't. But like I said, that's because I use writing as a tool for me to manage my anxiety, stress, and allows me to help relax and refocus on things.
What's your big vision, if you have one, for the legal profession as a whole? And where do you fit into it?
So those are two big questions.
I think you can pause if you want to, but
I think my vision for the legal industry is for it to be more flexible, adaptive, and open to acknowledging that everything that it's done historically may not be necessarily the right way to have done things, and understand that clients should always come first and should be dictating how things are done in some way. So I think there's that. But that, you know, all of that requires a large amount of cultural change, which takes a lot of time. And I think that even though this pandemic has wrought upon a lot of immediate disruptive change to how people operate and work, you know, it has done that. People have changed in part out of necessity more than anything else. So while necessity does necessitate change or induce change, it remains to be seen how much of that actually is lasting when we come back from this, when we get through this pandemic. With regards to kind of where I fit in, you know, I see myself as continuing to help educate and inform others about legal technology and legal innovation. I see myself continuing to work in-house with a focus on commercial transactions, because that's what I love to do in the tech space, and continue to get better and better and continue to, you know, do great work and help others and build lasting relationships. So, you know, that's kind of how I see myself fitting into this world. And I certainly have given, you know, that some degree of thought over the past few weeks amidst everything.
Yeah, and I love the idea of like continuous education and committed to lifelong learning. Like that is a really powerful statement to make, I think, to hear somebody who's saying, my education didn't stop at this point. I'm going to continue to learn, and that's why you're doing interviews. You're speaking to people like, tell me more, give me. That is, I mean, that's juicy. That's for me is purposeful and meaningful. Will you give us the details of your blog and how people can get in contact with you? Where's best to watch what you do, read what you do? Tell us more, Colin. Give us details.
Sure. So my website is www.colinslevy.com, which is my name. I'm on LinkedIn, pretty active, so it's not hard to find me on there. And I also I'm also on Twitter, @CLevy_law. Pretty active on there as well, so shouldn't be that hard to find me. And I encourage you all to get in touch, explore my website, learn, and share what you've learned with others.
Yeah, I was going to say, what would be your, I say 3, but it can be more or less. What would be your 3 life lessons that you would pass on to the next generation? Final question.
I would say number 1, don't expect life to follow a linear path, because it definitely will not. So even the best plan you have set for yourself will change, and you need to recognize that and be open to that in unexpected ways. 2, challenge yourself. The way you grow, the way you learn is through challenging yourself and putting yourself in somewhat uncomfortable positions. So I encourage you all to do that. And 3, I would say, definitely learn more about technology and innovation, because that is, technology is not going away. It's becoming ever more present in our lives. And it's having an impact on every industry, including law, and it will continue to have an impact. So it behooves you to learn more about it, to make you both more educated and also more valuable potentially to future employers.
Yeah, I mean, that it literally is the future, and the future is today. To quote 2 of those constant memes that you hear, it's like the future is now. We are already in that technological age. Thank you, Colin. I really appreciate you joining us for our legal stories and finding out about you and your experience within business and within the tech world. Thank you so much for being a part of our story. I thank everybody who is watching this story. Please do subscribe right here. And if you want to see more, there will be plenty more where this comes from. Join and find Colin, who's on Twitter, who's on LinkedIn. He posts a lot, so you will find him very easily. Otherwise, thank you for joining. See you again.
Thank you very much.
Bye.